Hello. Today is the feast of St. Benedict. Well, we Benedictines don't just celebrate him once, we celebrate him twice. March the 21st and today July the 11th. And it's good to think about St. Benedict, particularly on his wonderful notion of community and what it means to be obedient to that community. I've said before many times that the issue of obedience is something we lack in modern society, because it means recognising an authority outside oneself, and it means being not subservient but submissive. And that is something that generates, I think, a lot of fear in modern society, because we have the idea of sect and cult, which are not the same thing. Sects cut themselves off, but aren't necessarily unhealthy in themselves. In some sense, sects you can think of, say, in first century Judaism, you have the sect of the Pharisees, the sect of the Sadducees, and the sect of the Essenes. And there are arguments to suggest that both St. John the Baptist and our Blessed Lord spent some time in the Essene sect. That's speculation and not something we can necessarily hold on to. But those are sects. Cults are a different matter. Cults are usually centred around a person. There's some sort of charismatic individual at the heart of it, and further that there is in some sense some rather aggressive and coercive ways of keeping people there and ultimately brainwashing them. And I think we've seen some awful cases of cults gone very bad. I think there is always something unhealthy about a cult. So what does St. Benedict say? Does St. Benedict talk about monasteries as being essentially some cults of the abbot? Do what the abbot tells you. The abbot is to be obeyed as Christ himself. Indeed, St. Benedict says that as much, that one should treat the elders with respect, and to call the abbot Lord. Call the abbot Lord, and you can hear people getting very upset about that, particularly those who don't like calling bishops my lord. But St. Benedict is about healthy community. He's talking about community in God. He's talking about trying to realise, to make real the church in the community. And that is something that we struggle with now, because people are now so suspicious of the leadership of authority. I mean, in this country, you consider that we've just had a Prime Minister who has laughed effectively at the very laws that he put into place in order to protect people from the recent pandemic. And there you see where St. Benedict is so distinct from the cult of personality, because the chapters that he has on the abbot, the first thing he says about the abbot is, remember what you are called and be like that. And he says, to the abbots, if you cultivate the name of abbot, then you're going to have to live up to it, and that every single soul that is committed to your charge, if you lose that soul, then you are going to be held accountable for it. And that's really quite a hard lesson, and is why Benedictine monks don't really cultivate becoming abbot. They're rather afraid of it, and it takes a brave monk to accept the urging of his community to become a monk, to become an abbot. And likewise, it should be in our communities that we should be frightened of being called to be in office on the grounds that we will be called to account for any failures of leadership that we might have. And the same is true for the church, the local church. The priest needs to be held into account to Almighty God, and he needs to believe that. And indeed it is the belief, it's a quality of the belief that the priest has in God that marks out how he will lead the flock. Because if he does not take seriously the admonition of Christ and the admonition of St. Benedict, if he will not live his life in a way that reflects Christ's pastoral care, then he is endangering the health of his own soul. And in continuing to be that, he is endangering the health of the souls committed to him even further. And you can tell this in churches. You can tell which priests are the holy ones, because they will run their parishes in ways in which people will be happy to be obedient, because they can trust that that priest knows that he is accountable to God and is therefore looking out for the health of his parishioners. They can trust, because that trust, the cohesion of the society, the cohesion of the community, is based upon the trust that you have in your parish priest, in your bishop, in those whom God has set in authority. And so it ceases to be a question of inferiority and superiority. It becomes a question of seeking Christ genuinely and helping others to seek Christ. And in having the gift of grace through ordination, in having the gift of grace through the education which ordination gives you, the responsibility to look after the parish is a heavy duty, but it is a joy, because if you're doing this properly, if a priest is miserable, then he's fain to see the joy that he needs to have to show Christ's joy in every member of his parish. Because Christ loves you and he enjoys you, and you are of infinite worth for him. So the parish priest must also show that. It's hard, and I think all parish priests will fall short somewhere, because we're human. Community is based on trust, and trust also involves that whenever one falls, one apologises, and whenever one is apologised to, one forgives. Trust, humility, forgiveness, love. And St. Benedict mentions all of these, all of them, in his rule. And that's why I'm a Benedictine Oblate, and that's why I am very grateful to St. Benedict and beseech his prayers at all times. So God bless you. God bless you that you may find yourself a good priest who will give you that sense that you can trust him and who knows that he will love you as he should. God bless you if you are a priest and are struggling to live up to impossible standards, and remember that God gives you grace and you will have the prayers of your community. And God bless you that you may all enter into that wonderful community headed by Christ himself, who shines through all his church. God bless you. Please pray for me.